I know, I'm on camera, but what can I say? Coffee comes first. I welcome everyone on this wonderful channel. My name is Oscar, and in this video I'll be showing you my hiking gear. This is my main setup, which means that I use it basically every time I go out on a hike. In this video I'll be taking each and every item out, telling you how much I paid for it personally, how much it weighs, and tell you about my personal experience from using it. So about 6 months ago I had a thought. Yeah, I know, shocking. I had a thought. I decided that if I'm going to be a big hiking YouTube star, I should probably invest in some better gear, right? So I did a lot of research and I ended up with this setup over here. I had 4 main criteria in mind. This setup needed to be lightweight, durable, it needed to be good for camping in winter, and it needed to be as cheap as possible because, as you can probably tell, I'm not a rich person myself. Come on, not now. Sorry guys, that's my personal stockbroker calling. So everything combined, the total weight is... I actually don't know. I know it's just a bit over 5 kilograms. Excuse me for just a quick little moment. And the total weight comes out to 5.24 kilograms. Or 11 pounds and 9 ounces if you're considered to be, as they say, a Yankee. This is the base weight, so no consumables are added, such as food, gas canisters, and also I haven't added any items that I'd use personally but other people normally wouldn't, such as my espresso maker or my camera gear. In reality, I'm usually bringing about 8 to 11 kilograms. But if I'm feeling extra beer-y, then usually the weight will be even higher. Now, before I go over each item separately, I wanted to talk about the durability and the winter compatibility. So my philosophy is that your most critical gear, such as your tent, your backpack, your sleeping bag and your sleeping pad, all should be reliable. This means that I spent a bit more on these items and bought the most affordable models from reliable brands such as Osprey, Ray and North Face. I saved money on all these smaller items and opted for cheaper options wherever I could. And about the winter compatibility, I wanted this setup to act as a 3.5 to 4 season setup, depending on where you live, which means that it should be usable down to about -5 or -10 degrees Celsius. I usually don't experience anything colder than that. My idea was that I should be able to use this gear for the whole year and I wouldn't have to purchase winter gear separately. And lastly, I'll cover the total price. All included, I spent $7. Wait, that's probably wrong. Oh no, actually I spent $947. I know it's kind of a lot, but literally everything's included in this price, even all the smaller items, and for good quality lightweight gear that's also usable in winter, it's actually not too much. By the way, I've placed links to all of these items over here in the video description. These are affiliate links, which means I'll get a small commission if you purchase something after clicking the links. But anyway, now let's get into each item separately and let's start with the backpack itself. So as my main backpack, I've chosen the Osprey Talon 44, which cost me $132.82 and it weighs 1.1 kilogram. By the way, I've done an individual review on this baby, so I'll link to that over here. As I already mentioned, I wanted my backpack to be durable, which is why I went with Osprey. If you've been living under a rock, well, Osprey is probably the most popular backpack manufacturer, and their stuff is durable, comfortable, and affordable. The Talon 44 is one of their cheapest models, especially if you catch it on a sale, as I did. What can I say? I'm a cheap-ass bargain hunter. I was looking for something between 40 to 50 liters, so it's just in the perfect size. As you can see, there's still a lot of room left for food, for camera gear, or even for a 6-pack of beers, or a bottle of my man Jack Daniels if you prefer that. Usually when it's full, it's about this high and maybe this wide. I didn't go with an ultralight pack because I wanted my pack to still be comfortable and have many organizing features which usually don't come with ultralight packs. So the Talon 44 is a bit heavier compared to ultralight packs, but it's also cheaper and more comfortable, which is what I was looking for. I haven't had any issues with quality except with the chest strap. which I talked about more in my individual review. Essentially, the chest strap fell off, but I put it back on and I haven't had any issues since. It's incredibly comfortable, my back doesn't get sweaty, it's got nice and beefy pockets basically everywhere, and most importantly, the Talon 44 is very affordable. I also very much enjoy the trekking pole storage system, which is very easy to use, and I haven't seen this in other packs. For my clean water, I use a regular bottle, which I keep in one of these side pockets. If you live in America, I know a lot of hikers use smart water bottles there, because they're a bit better. This one's also fine. It's 750 milliliters in size and it weighs 45 grams. For filtering water, I use the Sawyer Micro Squeeze, which I bought for $28.95 and it weighs only 65 grams. Before this, I used the Sawyer Mini, which is a bit cheaper and a bit lighter as well. But I've switched to the Micro Squeeze because the flow rate is basically twice as fast compared to the Mini. Personally, I'd rather filter my water faster than to save a few extra grams. Like, I'm not the guy who cuts his toothbrush in half just to save a few extra grams. I'm just not. By the way, this filters out all the bacteria and dirt, but no viruses, chemicals or heavy metals. This means that you can use this filter in about 95% of the water sources out there. From most streams, from most rivers and lakes or puddles or whatever. But you shouldn't filter anything near farm areas where there could be pesticides or viruses, and anything near manufacturing areas where there could potentially be some spilled chemicals or whatever. For cleaning out the water filter, I use this backflushing syringe, which comes with the Micro Squeeze, and it weighs just 31 grams. For storing dirty water, I use two Sawyer 1 liter pouches, which together weigh 68 grams. I bought 3 pouches on Amazon for $17, so 2 of them cost $11.34. If I carry these two together with my water bottle, in total I can carry about 2.5 liters of water, which is usually more than enough to get between two water sources. Just keep in mind that the Sawyer pouches can burst pretty easily, so you have to be careful when using them. I personally burst one this spring, but you know, if you're careful, they'll do just fine. Alright, so for the exterior, that's about it, but I'll quickly cover what other items I'd usually keep on the exterior. In the front pocket, I'll usually keep my sunspray if needed. In the other side pocket, I'll sometimes bring another water bottle or store my tripod or tent stakes there. In the top pocket, I'll keep some snacks, my wallet, a hat and gloves if needed, and sunglasses. In the two hip pockets, I'll usually keep some Snicker bars or other snacks. But now let's open this pack up and get into the belly of the beast. Beast of the belly. Belly of the beast. I don't know what it means, okay? I just want to sound smart. I'm sorry. So when you open the top lid, you get another pocket over here. In this top pocket, I keep two things. The first one is this first aid kit, which I bought for $22.45 and it weighs 178 grams. When I bought it, it weighed about 300 grams and I couldn't find those ultralight first aid kits in Europe, so I bought the lightest one that I could and modified it. I removed most of the stuff that was overlapping. For instance, I had like 100 different bandages here and disinfectant wipes, so I removed most of them and I removed other items which I already had, such as scissors, which come with my pocket knife. I also added a lip balm in here for when I'm hiking up in higher altitudes, some ibuprofen, and just a regular lighter. I also keep everything inside a Ziploc bag, which just protects it from getting wet. The other thing that I have here is essential toiletries, which together weigh 178 grams. I keep everything inside this regular Ziploc bag. So I have some hand sanitizer over here. I have some TP. I have some regular travel toothpaste. And I have a regular toothbrush, which definitely isn't cut in half. By the way, one thing that I like about this pack is that it has this keychain over here, which means that I never lose my keys. And now let's open up the main compartment. So first off, I have my North Face Venture 2 rain jacket, which I bought for $86.68 and it weighs 311 grams. A lot of ultralight hikers go with these single-use plastic raincoats or with the Frog Togs lightweight rain jacket. I've used the Frog Togs and even though it's ridiculously cheap and lightweight, it's not that comfortable and it looks pretty bad in my opinion. I'd rather have a good looking and a durable hardshell rain jacket. The Venture 2 is fully waterproof. It's breathable, yet it's good at blocking any incoming wind. It's pretty light, and you can pack it inside its own pocket like it's packed right now. When you first open it up, it's a bit wrinkled, but the wrinkles disappear after 20 or 30 minutes. Also, I can use it as a top layer in my layering system. For instance, I'll usually wear a t-shirt, a thermal top, and a fleece jacket underneath, and I'll be very warm even in windy, freezing temperatures because the Venture 2 blocks any incoming wind coming through. So for organizing everything and keeping things dry, I use these cheap Amazon dry sacks. I bought a pair of 3 for $14.17, and in total they weigh 99 grams. The smallest one is 3 liters in size, and I keep my electronics in here. The middle one is 5 liters and it's for my cooking stuff, and the large one is 8 liters in size, and it's for all of my food. These aren't fully waterproof, by the way, but they're pretty good at resisting water. Now you might think, oh, you're not the brightest guy out there, aren't you? If these bags aren't waterproof, then why do you keep your electronics in there? Well, actually, I'm kind of a genius myself, because in addition to the dry sack, I also keep them in another Ziploc bag, which is fully waterproof. Didn't think I'm that smart, didn't you? Right now I only got my headlamp in here, but if needed I'll also keep my GoPro, my power bank, any additional batteries for my camera, and all the chargers in here. This is a cheap Amazon headlamp which I got for $12.99, and it weighs 73 grams. It's made by Linkax, which is just a regular Chinese manufacturer, but I've seen this exact lamp sold under other different brands as well. It's chargeable with a micro USB cable, so I can charge it with my power bank if needed. I actually charge it once every few months, so the battery on this thing is actually pretty good. It's got a bright, medium bright, and a blinking setting, which offers plenty enough light for me whenever I'm out camping. So far I haven't had any issues with it, so if you want to save some money, maybe go for this cheap Amazon headlamp over all the premium ones that cost $30 to $60. So in this one I keep all of my food, but obviously it's empty right now. It's usually large enough for about 3 to 5 days worth of food. In addition to all the cooking stuff that I have in here right now, I usually keep a gas canister, an espresso maker, some coffee, and a regular towel in here, so usually it's a bit fuller. So the first thing that I have here is my Light My Fire titanium spork, which I bought for $16.95, and it weighs 20 grams. If you want to, you can save some money and buy one of those cheaper plastic sporks, but I'd rather get a titanium one just because it will probably last for my whole lifetime. The next thing that I have here is my Swiss Army knife, which at the current moment costs $22.99 and weighs 83 grams. My father gave it to me as a gift a few years ago, and it's perfect for hiking. It's cheap, it isn't too heavy, it's got a knife, scissors, a corkscrew, a beer bottle cap opener, and it's even got tweezers if you need to pull out a tick. I know there's a smaller version of this knife, but this one's also pretty good. The next thing that I have here is a foldable silicone cup, which is the cheapest one that I found on Amazon, and I got 2 of these for $12. Each one of them weighs 68 grams. I like foldable cups better because they're lighter and they don't take up any space. By the way, you can pour hot coffee in here if you want to. As my pot, I'm using the Toaks Titanium 750 milliliter pot, which I bought for $34.95, and it weighs only 102 grams. Before this, I used a cheap camping pot, which was a bit too heavy and a bit too large, so I got this one. So if you've been following the backpacking scene, you probably know that this is probably the most popular backpacking pot. It's very light, it's indestructible basically. I like that the handles on the pot and the lid are very tiny for weight saving purposes, and I like that they've added volume markings inside, which is good if you're measuring how much water you need to heat for your dry package meals. Inside it fits some gas canisters, but definitely not all. For instance, this one fits, but this one doesn't because it's too wide. If you're interested, the one that fits is made by Coleman and it's 240 grams. I don't know about America, but in Europe these are probably one of the most popular ones. For my stove, I'm using a cheap Amazon camping stove that's actually pretty good. It came together with my cheap cooking pot, but you can buy it separately for about $15 and it weighs 107 grams. I like that it's very simple. It's got a spark igniter included, and it actually feels really well made. It isn't the most efficient camping stove out there, which means you'll spend more gas compared to, let's say, Jetboil, but it does the job just fine. If you're setting it up in wind, you have to set it up behind a rock, a fallen tree, or something similar, because the flame can go out. The next thing that I have here is my tent. It's the Ray Co-op Flash Air 1, which I paid $199 for, and it weighs 751 grams.
Bro, did you just say 751 grams? And just $199?
Why, yes. Yes, I did. I'm not fully sure, but in this price range, I think it's the lightest tent that you can get. I personally love it, but it's not for everyone. So I've slept in it in -5 degrees Celsius, in 45 meters per second winds, and in rainstorms, and honestly it's held up really well. It's a trekking pole tent, which means that you can use your trekking pole for setting it up. If you do that, you'll save a few more grams, but I personally use the poles that come with this tent as they're a bit easier to use. There are only 3 issues with this tent. The first one is that it's pretty difficult to set up, but I've gotten used to that and now I can get a perfect pitch in about 5 to 10 minutes. The second one is not really an issue because it's pretty much expected with any ultralight tent. It's that it's made by very thin materials. You have to be careful not to rip it on any sharp rocks or branches. As a safety measure, you should probably use a ground cloth underneath. I haven't had any issues with that personally, but you know, it's very fragile. And the third issue is kind of more serious. It is that this tent is very bad at ventilation, which is pretty common among ultralight single wall tents. You won't have any issues with very dry climates, up in higher altitudes, or if the temperature is below, let's say, 5 degrees Celsius. If not, you'll face pretty serious condensation on the walls, and probably your sleeping bag will also get wet. Every morning you'll have to dry out your tent for about 30 minutes. Personally, I'm fine with that because this tent is ridiculously light and ridiculously affordable. Also, it basically doesn't take up any space in my backpack, which is great. Your other option would be to get a freestanding tent with 2 walls, which would be much better at condensation. There are some good options out there from Big Agnes and Nemo, but they're about 300 to 500 grams heavier, and they're also more expensive. Honestly, I'd rather get this tent instead, but I know it's not for everyone, so you gotta choose for yourself basically. And finally, at the bottom of the pack, I have this thing. I keep all of my sleeping stuff and other things that I don't want to get wet in this waterproof dry sack from Ray. It's 25 liters in size and I bought it for $15.95 and it weighs 107 grams. I like that all of my sleeping stuff is organized at one place at the bottom of the pack. So in addition to my sleeping gear, I'll also sometimes keep my thermal clothing in here, some extra socks and other pieces of clothing that I won't need to use during the day. As my camping pillow, I'm using the Trichology Aloft 2.0, which I bought for $17.69 and it weighs just 110 grams. As you can see, it's also pretty tiny in a packed state. The only thing that you have to get used to is learn how to blow it up. Inside this valve, there's a button which locks and unlocks the valve, so when you're done blowing it up, you have to use your tongue to lock the valve, which can get pretty weird, but I already got used to that. It's probably the most popular camping pillow on Amazon, and it has some pretty good reviews, which is why I bought it. It's very comfortable, it has this back strap that goes around your sleeping pad. It's in a nice shape, so my head usually stays in the middle, and it also isn't loud. So a cool and cheap product that I definitely recommend for everyone. And this is my sleeping pad, the Ray Co-op Flash Thermal Long Wide Mummy, which I bought for $149 and it weighs 765 grams. So I needed my pad to have an R value of at least 4. This one has 4.7, which means that it's warm enough for winter camping. I bought the long wide mummy version because the smaller version would have been too short for me. I'm 185 centimeters in height, by the way. If you're a beginner, I definitely recommend getting a larger sleeping pad because you'll be more comfortable. Speaking of comfort, this sleeping pad is very comfortable, mostly because it's pretty thick. It also isn't loud, which means that it doesn't make these wrinkly sounds whenever you move around during the night. There are other similar choices you could look into, like the Outdoor Vitals Ultralight Pad or the Big Agnes Core Ultra, but I'm personally very happy with the Ray Co-op Flush Thermal and I'd recommend it for everyone. And lastly, I have my sleeping bag in here, which is the long version of the Ray Co-op Igneo 17. I paid $159.49 for it and it weighs 963 grams. Now, I got it on a very good sale, but right now it costs about $319. It's rated to -8 degrees Celsius and it's filled with 700 fill duck down. The coldest I've slept in it was -5 degrees Celsius, and honestly it wasn't too warm. I was very warm when I wouldn't move around, but the second that I changed my position there would be some cold air coming inside and I'd be chilly for the next 15 minutes. But in about 0 to 10 degrees Celsius it performs just perfectly. In summer it's a bit too hot, but you can unzip the zipper all the way, take off some clothing and you'll be good. Honestly, for the full price of $319 I wouldn't say that it's worth it. For below $200, yeah, but not much more than that. Lately, I've been looking into the Outdoor Vitals Summit 0 degree sleeping bag. It's currently priced at $275, and from what I could find from the reviews, it's supposedly still warm down to at least -5 degrees Celsius. It's also about 200 grams heavier, weighing at 1.15 kilograms. I'm still on the fence about whether I should buy it or not, but I think I'm leaning towards buying that one. That's because I recently moved to Spain and the temperatures up in higher altitudes can easily get down to -15 degrees Celsius during the winter. Yeah, it's a bit heavier and more expensive, but in my opinion it's worth it if it means I'll be warm during the night. This is the gear that I personally use and isn't necessarily the best possible gear for this price, but I did some research before purchasing and I think I did a pretty good job overall. Use this as you will, but I think that this setup will be great for anyone who's been hiking for a while now and who wants to invest in better, more lighter gear that's at the same time not too expensive. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this video was pretty long, but longer videos mean more ads, which means I make more money, so whatever. If you didn't know, I'm getting filthy fucking rich from this. I'm like printing fat stacks of cash. Thanks for watching this video and I'll see you next time. Probably because you liked this video very much and you decided to subscribe, right? Right? Alright then, see you then. Bye.